coats, hard shoes, and Stetsons for what they thought would be an ordinary Saturday evening of drinking spirits and getting up to no good. No one had expected a sudden accumulation of storm clouds. Tornado season was supposed to have passed. It hadn't. Then, through the swirling chaos, Emily thought she saw Dorothy inside the farmhouse, darting recklessly from window to window. Where had the girl come from? Where had she been? Why hadn't she answered when her aunt had called for her in the house? And why didn't she get herself across the farmyard to the storm cellar? Or was the movement Emily glimpsed in the house just the swirling of curtains? She couldn't be sure. She shouted Dorothy's name, though she thought it unlikely the girl could have heard her in the din. So the woman screwed her courage to the sticking point and started up the cellar steps, determined to fight her way across the wind-beaten farmyard to look once more for the foolhardy girl. But a sudden gust slammed the wooden door shut atop her, casting her down the short stairwell. Fortunate not to have been hurt, she pulled herself up in the darkness and climbed the stairs once more. But now, when she pushed on the doors, she could no longer open them against the wind. Finally, Emily could do nothing but huddle alone on the earthen floor as the twister grew loud as a locomotive just outside. She wept and prayed. Then the thing grew louder yet. No mere train anymore. Armageddon, she said to us in the days after the twister and before the seizure that would strip her of speech. That's what it sounded like. Fire and brimstone and wild raging beasts for which there are no known names. And the sound was not the worst of it. By the time the first group of us arrived, less than 2 hours after Emily had climbed out of the storm cellar, less than an hour after her husband Henry had returned to the property directly from town, it was apparent that the twister had pulled the family's house from its foundation, spun it a quarter turn, then slammed it back to earth, dashing it to bits. We'd seen structures destroyed by twisters before. This is, after all, Tornado Alley. But the Gale house looked different, almost as if it had been dropped from a great height, the debris gathered in a single giant pile rather than scattered across the fields. We joined Henry and Emily in their search through the wreckage, pulling and lifting away shattered wood, broken glass, and twisted metal. We worked with urgency, but we found no sign of the girl's remains. Not a hair from her head, a scrap of her gingham dress, nor a drop of blood. There's no sense denying that we all grew up on tales of folks pulled bodily into the funnel of a twister, higher, 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 only to be delivered back to earth many miles away, dropped onto a haystack without even a scratch, miraculously alive. Having long since left such childish yarns behind, we knew that the reality of being pulled up into the funnel of a tornado was akin to standing in an open field between the massed artillery of Meade and Lee at Gettysburg and enduring multiple well-aimed blasts of their cannons. Yet, as I say, no pieces of the girl's body were found among the rubble. Occupied as we were with our own damage and tribulations, we still maintained hope that 11-year-old Dorothy might have run out of the farmhouse in the seconds between the storm cellar doors slamming shut on her aunt and the arrival of the pulverizing funnel. Gathering later that evening, in 2s and 3s, in the lesser wreckage of our own properties, we debated the girl's prospects. There'd have been nothing for her to note in any direction on the flat horizon except the black wall of clouds in the south and the twister upright and dancing like a charmed snake. So it was not implausible that she might have run across her family's sorghum patch in the direction of the corn crib, which was untouched by the twister, and continued on toward the small grove of box elder trees that grew wild near the watering hole a half-mile away. Of course, a grove is no shelter from a tornado, but only another source of potential shrapnel, sheared wood being as efficient as tearing through a body as metal.